Hey, shalom, shalom, mishpocha. Welcome to another edition of Ray Bash's Ramblings, where today I'm going to be talking about presumption and assumption. I'm telling you, this is one of the major factors in regards to spiritual warfare, especially spiritual warfare regarding the battle with oneself. You remember the old saying, probably heard it, that when you assume, it makes a biblical donkey out of you and me. Let's put it that way. And David HaMelech, King David, says in the Psalms, he asked God to protect him from presumptuous sin. And this is one of the major factors and tactics of the spiritual mental warfare that goes on in a person's heart and life and mind. When something happens in a person's life that is very distressing, causes a lot of pain, causes a lot of worry. Let's say that there's relational conflicts going on, relationship problems, marriage problems perhaps, or relations with one of your family members or best friends, and there's a rift that's created or a problem that's created. Immediately the enemy will flood your mind with scenarios and outcomes, and will cause you to think such thoughts as where you're assuming that such and such person did hurtful or harmful actions out of spite or out of revenge, or that there's a negative motive or an ulterior motive behind the person's actions which caused the rift. And if you let it, your imagination will go wild, and you'll just compound the problem and make it worse. Like when somebody says something and you're not sure how to take that remark, instead of reacting, which is a person's initial instinctual response, is to stop and think. It's always been the Jewish tradition and understanding to give a person the benefit of the doubt before responding to somebody's words or somebody's actions. Because you could get it all wrong, and as I said before, what does assume do? When you assume things, it makes a biblical donkey out of you and me. And again, to reiterate what David HaMelech said, Lord, protect me from presumptuous sin. Whenever we presume or assume, this makes problems 10 times worse. We compound the problems and make it worse ourselves, and we become our own worst enemy and our own victim because of what we allow our mind to think. Rav Shul says in one of the books of Corinthians, I think it's 2 Corinthians 10, 4 and 5, where it talks about where the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations of every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. And then it talks about taking vengeance. Once you've taken everything captive to the obedience of Messiah, it's taken vengeance upon that sin which got you in that situation and predicament. It's no different than seeing a brother or sister who used to have an alcohol problem, and let's say you're driving down the road and you're seeing them walk next beside a drunk that's got that's staggering, and your friend who used to be an alcoholic has the bottle in their hand. First thing you're going to think probably is, oh my gosh, he fell off the wagon. Oh man, look, he's drunk. Look, he's out there partying with his old pals. When in fact, the story may be that perhaps your friend saw one of their former friends drunk, passed out in the gutter, just sloppy drunk, and he says, you know what, I've got to help this person. I've been there. I know how it is. He takes the bottle from his hand, helps his friend up, and starts walking down the street at the exact moment when you see him. Well, when you assume and presume, you always assume. It's our nature, our fallen nature, to presume or assume the worst about something. And that's something that we really need to get a handle and get a grip on if we're going to be successful in our spiritual warfare and in our relationship with other people, especially other believers. Because, assuming and presuming, it's a road that you don't want to go down. And as I said, it compounds the issue and compounds the problem. And it makes me think of, other times, like, and it's usually fear. Usually fear is the motivating factor. remember when you're a little kid, maybe when your parents went out to dinner and went out to eat, they didn't come home at the time they said they would be home, and all of a sudden your mind starts wandering. Or as a parent, you expect your child to come home at a certain time, they're not there, you automatically assume the worst. Oh, they've been in a car accident. Oh, they've been killed. And you start worrying. And those are only motivated, those thoughts are motivated by fear. Usually they do not come within yourself, they come with outside yourself from Hasatan and his cohorts, influencing your mind to think in those ways and in that direction. And that's when we need to take all thoughts captive to the obedience of Christ. Because what else does the scripture say? That God has not given us the spirit of fear, but the spirit of power and of love and of a sound mind. And when you start presuming and assuming and let those thoughts run wild, your mind gets cluttered, hazy, and cloudy, and it's hard to think, and you become confused. The scriptures also tell us that God is not the author of confusion. So when the fear and the confusion and the assumptions and presumptions come, you know that they're not from yourself, that you know they're not from God either. You know that they're from the enemy, from Hasatan. And that's the point where we need to ask God to awaken our spirit, make us alive and conscious and cognitive, to realize when our minds start going in that direction, and immediately be able to call out on the name of the Lord through Messiah Yeshua, to take those thoughts captive to the obedience of Messiah. And therefore, I'm a child of the 80s. What can I say? As the old cartoon on G.I. Joe, now you know, and knowing is half the battle. So shalom and shavua tov mishpocha. I pray that this has been able to help somebody today and has blessed or edified somebody. So shalom and shavua tov mishpocha. Catch you later.